And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Put your thumbs up and say it's TicketyBoo.
TicketyBoo.
TicketyBoo, TicketyBoo, everything's TicketyBoo.
TicketyBoo, son. TicketyBoo.
TicketyBoo.
Welcome to TicketyBoo, the podcast with unscripted conversations from people who've actually lived it. I'm Andy Griffiths, and alongside Iona Russell and Ian Young, we're three working therapists, but more than that, we're three humans just trying to make the sense of life like the rest of you. In each episode, we talk honestly about our own experiences with mental health, relationships, fear, growth, all that stuff that we tend to hide away. And we're definitely not here to fix you. We're here to make you feel less alone and maybe give you a few things that you could think about along the way. And today we're asking, what if you're not meant to have a 5-year plan? Do we really need a full plan, or is having a rough direction of travel enough? Do you guys ever feel like life's been turned into a bit of a box ticking exercise? Like there's always another box to tick after you've ticked this one?
Sort of. I've always got something to do. And I always keep moving the goalposts. I wouldn't say sort of box ticking, because my life doesn't really work.
Doesn't fit in a box.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of mildly managed carnage. But that suits me. For me, a 5-year plan isn't really everything. Now, I generally tend to go in the direction that I want to go in, because I figure out what it is I want, and then I move towards it, which tends to create a world of, well, let's just say activity. We'll put it, but because what happens is if you over-plan, you spend so much time planning. By the time you finish planning, you'd have achieved.
You stay in analysis.
Yeah.
Does that? Because I'll forget. We will come back to you.
Oh, that's fine.
But you know when you know the plan, or you kind of know the idea, and you start heading off in this direction. Do you think sometimes when that can happen, those around you can get a little bit frustrated and like, well, he knows what's going on, but we've got no idea, but we'll follow him, but we don't know where we're following him to? Because sometimes, how can you communicate the plan to others if you don't truly know what it is yourself?
Well, a lot of what I do is sort of rinse and repeat. So
Same
it
sort
creates,
of thing.
yeah, it's the same
space.
kind of thing,
Right, okay.
different places, different scenarios. But generally, the people that I've got around me are fairly long-termers. So even though at times they might like, you know,
what's the up to now?
But mostly the people around me, they need guidance day to day, week to week.
Right.
What we're kind of talking about now is a fixed 5-year plan. Now that's very different. So the people, my 5-year plan would be my 5-year plan. It's been programmed. It's something I've set my own goal for, and that's nobody else's. Yeah. So I don't expect anybody to fit in with my long-term plans, other than sort of obviously one.
Yeah.
They've all got their plans, and I'm, what they do with me is a stepping stone towards them achieving their long-term goal. So really, generally, the people around me don't need a 5-year plan or to understand my long-term plan. They just need to understand what's going on week to week and what our general goal is.
Do you think, though, sometimes, and I really want to bring you in this, Iona, do you think sometimes we end up segueing into other people's plans because we don't really have one for ourselves?
I think that can happen, but I'm not someone who necessarily believes in having a fix, and I think there's a difference. I think having a goal or a dream or a desire, an outcome we're aiming towards, I think, which is partly what Ian's saying. But when someone has such a rigid, fixed plan, there's no room for creativity, spontaneity, curiosity, and then that's when I think that we can all feel boxed in if we go to that. Well, it has to be this, and they've told me I need to have a plan, and this step. We put the blinkers on, and we miss amazing opportunities. Like, I know, and I spent most of my life stumbling forward, but it's been progress, whether I'm falling flat on my face or not. Moving forward, and so many amazing opportunities have come just from being curious. I remember when I lived in America, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? I wasn't happy with the work I was doing. And I went to a random talk, and someone was there talking about being a child advocate for children who were being removed in social services. And I was like, that sounds really interesting. The next thing I know, I'm signed on the course, and then I went and did it, and then I became amazing at representing kids in court. Loved it, nearly burnt out from it. But that was something that wasn't on my 5-year plan. But then when I look at my past, I've always been working towards social policy, social welfare, education, well-being. That is a common thread, no matter how wild and wacky I've gone off, whether it's gone travelling or whether I have fallen flat on my face because I've made a mistake.
I actually want to pick up on a phrase that you said that really resonates with me, stumbling forwards. Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily need to be stumbling. It's like I'm heading in this direction and it will figure itself out as I start to move in that direction. We talked in the car this morning about you can have a plan, but then you can get stuck in the inertia of where do you start or how do you start or what haven't you got and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, of course, if you're sitting thinking about where you're going to be in 5 years, you've taken all, and what you need to be doing is focusing on that first run of the ladder.
Yeah.
You need to be focusing on how to start, because that's actually the most important part there is. Now, I keep using the phrase, you can't steer a still ship, and I stick by that. And like Iona just said something about you putting the blinkers on, and that's so true, because as you move forward through your journey, external influences and external things within your environment change.
They do.
What you want to do, because life is like a sat-nav. You kind of have a destination, and then you change, you hit traffic and you hit obstacles, roadwork, and you change direction.
Doesn't life get a bit interesting when the sat-nav breaks or doesn't work? And then you've got to figure it out, and you maybe go down lanes or roads that you've not thought about that are actually really good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And how about yourself? Because I know, you've got a really colourful history. You've always been working. You've been productive.
Yeah.
You've done many different ventures.
Yeah.
So how about, what's your take on the 5-year plan and the stumbling forward concept?
I think in the past I fell into the pressure of the plan was about building a life, but then I kind of forgot what it was actually like to live a life as part of that. I'm definitely big one for spontaneity. I'll have an idea, it will sit with me for a bit, and if it feels right, I'll then take what I call immediate action. I'll do one thing immediately to start moving it forwards, whether that's a phone call or an email or a meeting, and then I just tend to move from that point to the next point to the next point, fully not knowing how I'm going to get from A to B, but knowing that will figure itself out.
Trusting.
Trusting that it will come forwards. But most of my plans never end up going completely where I meant them to go, but I still ended up somewhere that mattered, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I love what you said, picking up on getting stuck in building a life instead of actually living one.
Yeah.
That's something I've really noticed too, having gone through this recently, the burnout, is I'm now talking into the living legacy piece that's become crucial, but it's not about what we leave behind. It's not about it's about how we're living now, how we're showing up, the impact we're having. As you say, everything you've been doing is having an impact. How are we making those around us feel loved and cared for you, Ian, within your personal life? I think it's about how we're choosing to live now and the impact that that's going to have, instead of getting stuck in the building and rigid and go, well, no, I've got to follow that plan that I set 8 years ago. This is what I'm doing, and you're not feeling inspired.
I am a huge advocate of winging it.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is some people go, well, winging it's not a strategy. No, it is. It is I don't need to know all the details. They will come, or I'll figure it out. And what I mean by that is professionally winging it, not being reckless or stupid, just kind of going I'll just go for it.
Yeah, that pretty well sums up my entire work life.
I have a question for you on that.
Yeah.
So because, as you've said, you like winging it, you have curiosity, and you just go with an idea.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe, I'm thinking of our listeners listening, have you proven to yourself, it worked before, last time I won it, so you built that self-trust, that self-belief, this will turn out okay, even if I go in a different direction? So do you think that you've got that to compare to, so your unconscious mind isn't going, you'll fail, you're going to, this is all going to go wrong, you've never done this before?
Well, all of the good things in my life didn't come from a solid plan. They came from just getting started and moving forwards. I call it throwing your hat over the wall. You've now got to get over the wall to get your hat back. I can remember my very, very first business I started. I was like, oh, I need a business plan. In fact, the bank wanted a business plan, a 5-year business plan. And he poured all of this information into it. And they go, yeah, that's brilliant. And off you go. And I'm like, 5 weeks later, that plan made no sense at all. It completely and utterly changed because what I thought was going to work didn't work or need refined, and the customers I thought were the right customers weren't the right customers. And I think that 5-year plan was too rigid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually that. There's quite a few points on this one,
Right.
But that particular one, for example, if you have a rigid plan when you're 18, you make it. I mean, our 5-year plan now would be very different from our 5-year plan when we were 18, because you're sort of 18. You've never really spent any time in industry. You've been in education. If you're lucky enough to know what you want, you've got a plan. But the chances are, especially at that age, by the time you've got into your mid-20s, it's completely and utterly changed because, like I say, your external influences,
so
the people that you meet, your relationship, what you learn, what you know you like, what you know you're good at, just the opportunities that have presented themselves. So that plan really didn't go any further than let's go that way, even though at the time but a lot of people, type A people, they work better on structure, and that's how they find motivation.
Yeah,
and that's
I can understand that.
We're all quite entrepreneurial, so we've got a very different idea on sort of winging it and just seeing where we go than most people.
Or do you think, you're sort of saying there is a category of people that like structure, that like that. And, we're not trying to romanticize spontaneity here by any stretch of it. Did you think that we're just better at sitting in the unknown?
I was just going to say, this is because in positive psychology, this is about having a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. And a growth mindset it's about flexibility. It's about following the deeper meaning. And that is also about resilience, because we talked about resilience before. And that's like, you fall down, you get back up, right, I can do this. So you get on, you prove to yourself again and again, you can do this. But part of that resilience is also having a growth mindset so you can be adaptable. And I think this is the secret, even for those people that are type A personality. I think this is something we can all strive on by having that adaptability, that flexibility, and being able to grow, to stumble forward.
I think curiosity.
Yeah, curiosity.
Is great. Don't get me wrong. I have stumbled into situations, winged them, been spontaneous, and they've bit me.
Yeah.
But I can look at it, take the value, take the lesson and move forwards.
Exactly.
And if I want to go forwards in life and not get bitten and have knockbacks, well, I'm just going to stay in the same space, aren't I?
Yeah.
For you, it still has value. It's not all doom and gloom. But this is what also I read something the other day, whether it's completely accurate or not. But I read something that said that 80% of A students work for D students, and what that is the D students have to be a bit more creative, and they're the ones that. Well, I'm not saying they often drive change, what have you, but they're relying on this entrepreneur, this sort of growth mindset, this being in the unknown.
Risk-taking.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I wouldn't class. Would I class myself as a risk taker? Yeah, I've taken risks in business and opportunities, but I would say calculated risks. But people look at you and go, "How do you do what you do? How did you go and do this?" Well, I just decided to start doing it. And I was afraid, I was uncertain. At times felt like giving up. Self-doubt, imposter syndrome and all of that. And I think it's part of stumbling forwards or whatever is just being really good at being aware of your feelings, but don't allow it to stall your movement, your activity. Because I think a plan, people fall into that trap. If I have a really good, robust plan, I'm going to feel confident. I'm going to know what I'm doing. And you're like, no, you're going to feel exactly the same feelings that we feel, winging it, being spontaneous.
No, I mean, for me personally, what do I want to do? Okay, why do I want to do it? Okay, so I've got my why, and I've got what I want to do. And again, this is something that I keep talking about. It's having a path to follow, but keeping your eye on your why and the end. Because if you go into this sense of planning, and you should always plan. Don't get me wrong. You should always have a plan to some degree. Just be flexible with it. But you go into this state of paralysis analysis where you sort of suddenly start to take your eye off the end goal and the why, and all you see is the obstacles and things that might jump out in that road in front of you. Where in reality, when you're actually moving and you've got some kind of momentum and pace, if one of those 100 things that you may have thought would be a problem, might jump out in front of you, but you've got them, you've got momentum, so you keep going. Because
I'm a big sort of believer in what I call fag packet methodology. What I mean by that is it's a quick scribble, a word down, a doodle on a page. And don't forget that the original Mini was designed on the back of a fag packet. And look at what a massive success that been. So what I'm saying is it's something written down. The other week collectively we were working on a name. And it was doodles, wasn't it? And it was letters and it was diagrams and stuff. It was fag packet, but it led to a moment of, oh yeah, right, and we moved on. And I think, I've completely unsubscribed from that. You need a detailed plan.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you need a detailed plan. You can have a vague idea, you can have a gut instinct, and look after yourself, and the rest will start to fall into place.
it will. I mean, you still need to, obviously, if you're going down a specialist area, you still get educate yourself, pull the right people in. But again, without momentum, that's and conviction in what you're doing and determination, you're not going to do it. So what keeps me going a lot of the time is pure grit towards the end goal.
I actually looked at some of the goals originally I thought I had or wanted and gone, thank Christ I didn't actually get them, because I know I would have ended up there and I didn't want them. Do you think people are afraid of feeling like, I mean, we've kind of fallen into this 5-year plan. What we're really saying is like a life plan, isn't it? Like a plan of where we're going and what we're achieving. Do you think people are afraid of waking up in the morning going, I really have no idea, I'm just taking it from day to day? Because I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that.
Nothing wrong with that at all. And yes, there's lots and lots of people that do that.
I generally find if I meander through life with a compass in my hand and the needle's pointing north, so I know which direction north is, but I meander, I tend to get to where I want to be, and I'm not completely battered when I get there. Rather than trying to force the needle in another direction and trying to figure it all out, I think life has this strange, I don't want to go all woo-woo here, but it will take you where you need to be and bring you into situations and people that you need. And
I think I love that, the analogy of we're basically following our own compass, because as much as it may sound like we're all just winging it, we have an idea and off we go, and you're so lucky, and even if we have one on our faces, but I think the crucial thing is that taking action, as Ian said, it's that first step on the ladder, as you said, is knowing the general direction you're going in. And I think that's the crucial part, because if you sit there in overwhelm and fear of failure, and then also on the other side of that, there can be shame if you fail, or shame if you don't have the 5-year plan. And it's like trusting yourself and just taking that first step. What's that call? Who do you need to reach out to? As Ian said, what's the course maybe you need to go and get trained in? It's just choosing to take one right step.
Yeah, I've kind of figured out over the years, sounds quite obvious, there's a lot of people out there that are quite a lot smarter than me that can help me do what I want to do.
Yeah.
But you need to ask.
Yeah.
What's the worst that happens? They say no.
Well, at some point in life, it's like, no, I need to figure it out myself.
Yeah.
I need to learn. No, you don't, just ask.
Yeah.
And that I was in a phase in life where I'll just do it.
Yeah.
I'll just do it. And, I sometimes through necessity, when I look back earlier in history, when with money, people can go, well, my plan is, stifled or moulded in a way because there's no money. And I get that. When I first started my first business, I had no money and I needed a website. So I had to teach myself how to build a website because I couldn't afford to get a website. So the plan was, I need a website. Oh, I don't know how, I can't afford to go. I was like, right, okay, well, the plan now is I need to figure out how I can build a website through watching a series of YouTube videos and this, that, and the other, and getting it wrong. And that started that journey of getting me to the point going, there's now a web developer who does it for me. But when I'm having a conversation with them, I know what I'm saying to them.
Yeah. Well, it was the same as. Yeah. So I had an idea of where, certainly in my building businesses, I wanted it to go. So what I did is I didn't have the money to do what I needed to do, and I couldn't even have envisaged doing it on the scale that I do. But what I did is I just started doing it for other people. I couldn't physically afford to do it, so I would do it for other people. And then what I did is I built up a proven track record. And with a knowledge base and a proven track record, all of a sudden, people were knocking on... I stopped having to knock on everybody else's doors, asking. They were coming and knocking on my door to see how they could get involved. And that's the good thing about being a bit older. Having a proven track record, that's the thing. It's just... and being patient.
Well, the clarity comes after the chaos of it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that is a phase that you just have to move through of like, everything's just a bit up in the air. Don't really kind of know what I'm doing, but I'm doing. And afterwards you can look back and go, well, in those moments, there's real gold nuggets that move the dial forwards for me. But very often when you think that's the only way, there's many other different ways that you can achieve it. And it's not money. It's not lack of education. It's not lack of confidence. The thing that's actually stopping you moving is the story you're telling yourself.
Yes.
You've got to become very aware of whatever that story is.
And being able to back yourself, not being too hard on yourself, and being patient. Because the more we force ourselves into saying it must happen now, it must happen now. I said this time last year, I'll be at this point. That pressure that you put in yourself is actually blocking out. I mean, this is going to get really woo-woo now, but like you said, you do naturally tend to attract what's meant for you. But while you're in that state of stress, you're kind of stopping it.
Well, I think in that state of stress, you attract everything that's not right for you.
Yes.
And you make decisions that aren't right for you. You make a decision out of necessity.
Yeah. And you start to chill out and enjoy it and take the pressure off yourself. And one, it becomes enjoyable. Two, become you very good at it. And then you tend to attract. When you're the kind of person that people want to be around or work with or for, you'll find that what you attract is completely different.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's, if we go back to last week's episode where we were talking about peace, when we can learn with experience, because there are going to be pitfalls and there are going to be challenges, when we get to learn to weather the storm no matter what's going on, because we know we'll come out the other side, we know this is part of the process, then we can come from that sort of grounded, peaceful place. No matter what's going on, we can feel like we're spinning 10 plates, and we can want to simplify. But if we can come from like, okay, what's my why? Like, come back to being grounded. Like for me, if I get into that overwhelm, then I've got to get outside and get some fresh air. I've got to go to the gym. Like, there's something I have to do because I'm getting so disconnected from myself. It's not even I'm getting disconnected from the plan, but I've ended up just going, if we're going to go with the storm analogy, like I'm just letting the wind blow me any which way, where I've got to take control of myself.
Are we saying to the listeners then, how would your life change if you stopped needing the plan to feel safe? How would that change things for you?
It might just be the difference between them starting a journey and thinking about it.
Yeah. Because safe is just a feeling, isn't it? It's not a certainty.
Yeah.
And safe, if you need it to feel safe, it's probably a reflection that you have a flawed belief of you're not clever enough, smart enough, good things don't happen to you, money's hard to come by, the stories that we were talking about that feed back in, or success is something that happens to other people.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's that scarcity mindset as well, where you start to describe yourself as money is bad, I don't want, I couldn't deal with that responsibility. It's all stories that you're telling yourself, which in reality is not the case.
Do you think that's a hard concept, though, for people to wrap their head around? Like, the only thing that's really getting in the way of your success or the life you want to create is the story you're telling yourself. Do you think most people even recognise the stories that they're telling themselves?
Depending on where they are and if they've had experience, like if this is the first time they're hearing this sort of information, then it's like, what do you mean the stories I'm telling myself? This is my reality. This is what happens. This is why I can't. And I think when you start to look at, because of the the work we've all done, we understand that we're making up stories. We understand that, like, what are we like? Who's driving the bus? The people that we've learned, like, grown up around, or us. And I think it's a great exercise for people just to look at the stories that you're telling.
You said something there, though. Somebody goes, "This is my reality."
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a story associated to your reality. This is where I'm at, so therefore I can't do. And listen, I think this work on yourself to be aware of your stories and shift the narrative is lifelong, because the other week when an amazing opportunity presented to me, part of me went, this is going to be really hard. There's a ton of work to be done. You're trying to make your life easier. Don't do it. But I was aware of the story, but I was able to offer balance into the narrative and start moving forwards in a way that's still in line with my why and my values and my life. Where old me would have gone, do you know what? You're right. Don't bother.
Yeah.
Leave it behind. And I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's not, we've talked about this a lot. You don't arrive at this place going, yay, I'm Zen. I don't listen to the stories anymore. The stories are always there, aren't they? They are always there. And actually the skill, the real Jedi trick, is to become really good at noticing the story that you're telling yourself in that moment of overwhelm, stress, uncertainty.
Yeah, I get imposter syndrome still all the time. I'll start on, I keep talking about my building business rather than the therapy business, which is probably not what I should be doing here. But yeah, I'll start a £2 million project. And I'll start and just stood there, little old me at the start of it, looking at it, just think, and I do get imposter syndrome. It's not something that I haven't done, many times before. And in reality in my head, what I tell myself is every day the job gets smaller. So I just start off with one process at a time. Yeah. And it's like, how do you eat an elephant? One mouthful at a time.
But do you think that's really key that you've said that, though? Because if we come away from a £2 million project, if we're looking, we're talking to the person watching, listening to this episode on the podcast, and they have dreams and aspirations and things they want to do in their life. It's hard for them, isn't it, to flip that switch of, maybe they go into a job they do every day, where they do a job for a person. It's like, I can do that job if I'm doing it for a person, but I can't do it if I'm doing it for myself.
That's because somebody else is just giving you a part of the process.
Yeah.
And you're not having to focus on the whole thing. So that's why I just deal with the part of the process that I've got in front of me. Yeah. I've got a bigger picture, but I know I can't deal with every single aspect of it all at once.
The reason I asked that question is because, like you said, you've said before, that £2 million project, you'd actually already done them, but you were doing them for somebody else.
Yeah.
But this time you were doing it for you. So you'd actually already done it. It was just the mechanics were different because it was for you. But when you were doing it for someone else, the imposter syndrome's not there. But when you're doing it for you, the imposter syndrome's there.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying for, the person that's listening to this episode going, well, I can do it over here, but I can't do it over here. And that is the only difference between those two things is the story, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Well, and to stick with the building conversation
analogy,
if we're going there, it's and the 5-year plan, and what goals and dreams people may have. If we think, like, if somebody's going to build a house, like, I haven't got a clue how to build a house, or Andy didn't have a clue how to build a website, but you start, okay, what's the first thing we need to do building a house? Like, obviously there's probably a million other things, but
foundations.
It's the foundations. If you don't have the foundations, if somebody's focused on, like, the end goal is going to be this finished product and this is the roof, well, you can't put the roof on until the walls are there. You can't put the walls on until, so it's just starting with that first step. Foundations first.
If you're so focused on what the tiles and chimney will look like, that you can get to that point.
But of course, the first thing is, what shape you plan it? What shape's it going to be?
Yeah.
How big's it going to be?
Where's
it going to go?
Yeah.
And
Is that practical?
Yeah.
And
it's like you deciding you needed a website. Okay, how do I build a website? Because I need that first before I do this next thing. And I think,
and then what does it look like? And how many pages has it got? And all that stuff figured itself out on the journey.
Yeah.
But when I started building the website, I had to lay down a foundation. This is where it sits. This is where it's hosted. Now I can add the pages. Then I can add the text. Then I can add the images. And then I can refine that as I go along. But most people go, it looks like this. Oh, that's really shiny and nice. I could never do that.
Yeah.
Don't start.
Yeah, and if people are wanting to, because it's maybe somebody wants to leave one career path for another. So, because a lot of our conversations are around being entrepreneurial, it can just be, well, what's the skill set that you already have that's transferable?
Yeah.
Okay, what's missing? And also, I think people don't realize the wealth of knowledge they have is huge. Their lived experience, their life experience, the things they've been through, like that is also part of your foundation and the part of the magic of what you'll take to that other career or that other venture. So I think we all, no matter where we are in life, get to start with the foundation.
Plan A will become plan B,
Yeah.
that will become plan C, that will become plan D. The plan today won't be the plan tomorrow, and that's okay. That's how. But it starts with making a choice, a decision. And then in that moment, when you're making that choice, do one tiny thing right in that moment within the next hour that actually starts to move the dial towards that target. Phone call, email, even reaching out to somebody going, hey, I've decided I'm going to do that and I want you to give me a bit of accountability.
Oh, well, yeah, and then what they can do is instead of, you can do a done list. So, so sometimes we started off talking about, the tick box and got all these things I've got to do, and none of us are here just to, be ticking things off. But we can make a list of all the things we've accomplished that day. Like, as you said the other day, like getting an hour and a half's work done covered 2 days, whether it's the evening or the morning. So we can celebrate, okay, this is what I've done, because then if we've got such a big change we're going to be making or a big goal, just acknowledging what we've done. Sometimes we forget how far we've come. Sometimes we forget. It's like, oh my gosh, this is actually all the things I've done, because we're just looking at all the things I've yet to do.
So do you think the sort of the final statement to the listeners and to the viewers would be, see when you stop telling yourself all that crap inside your head, the story, imagine for a moment that those stories weren't there and the fear wasn't there. What would you decide to do?
Yeah.
What's the one thing you would go for? Because you know what, you're better going for it and not getting there than sitting there wishing that that you did do it.
Yeah.
Well, you'll find that rather than not getting there, maybe if
You'll get somewhere.
You might not quite get to where you initially dreamed of initially. Your expectations will change, but you'll still be a long way up there,
Yeah.
which leaves you better off than you were today.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. Well, I think that, as always, was a great episode. We certainly hope that's helped you as a listener. And as always, thank you very much for listening. And we shall catch you in the next episode.
If you or someone close to you needs to access mental health support, please contact your GP, or if it's out with normal office hours, get in touch with NHS 24 on 111. Alternatively, contact the Samaritans on 116 123. All calls are free of charge from any phone. You can also find more support information on the TicketyBoo website, ticketyboopodcast.co.uk.